Welcome to the video lecture series based on Class 11 Sociology textbook Introducing Sociology. I'm Olivia Dirinamai and today we would be doing... Now let us move on to the next topic or concept from this chapter, that is social control. What is social control and why do we need this? As you study sociology further, you will come across that social control is one of the most generally used concepts in sociology. So why? Why is this social control important? You see, the survival and smooth functioning of the society is possible only when there exists in the society social harmony, social solidarity and social order. When there exists peace and order and harmony in the society, then society would be called a smooth society or good society. But how is this possible? And this harmony, social harmony and social order is possible only when members of the society accept, not only accept, but also obey certain rules and regulations of the society. But being human, it is not always possible to obey and follow societal rules and regulation voluntarily or willingly. Sometimes we break the rules. Sometimes knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or unintentionally. Therefore, society exercises its force or control over its member. This control, which the society exert over its member, over the activities of its individual member is called social control. Now, this concept of social control was first introduced by American sociologist E.A. Rose in his book Social Control, published in 1901. Since then, the concept has become quite popular. According to E.A. Rose, social control refers to the system of devices whereby society brings its member into conformity with the accepted standards of behavior. Meaning social controls is the devices or the mechanism used by the society to bring its, naughty members, those people who does not follow its rules and regulation, those people who does not behave in the way that is acceptable to the society, to bring them back or to make them accept the standard of the society, of the moral of society. So that is what he calls to as social control. Sociology has different ways. In sociology also, within sociology also, there are different ways of looking at concepts and into different ways of looking at things or problems or issues. Now, there are two types of perspective or way of looking at social control in sociology. One of them is the functionalist perspective, whose main proponent is Emil Durkheim, and the other one is conflict perspective, whose main proponent is Karl Marx. Now, for Emil Durkheim according to functionalist perspective, what is social control? Social control refers to the use of force to regulate the behavior. They use force to regulate the behavior of the individual and groups, the unwanted behavior of the individual and groups. It is also about enforcing of the values and patterns for maintaining order in society. It is to bring back the deviant members of the society, or it is to avoid tension and conflict. Social control is used to mitigate tensions and conflict in the society. So, for the functionalist perspective, social control is necessary for the stability of the society. Society will not be stable, society cannot be smooth, society cannot survive without social control, according to the functionalist perspective. Now, the conflict perspective, they see social control as the mechanism or as the device to impose the wishes and desires or to impose the control of the dominant class on the rest of the society. You see, for conflict perspective, they see everything as, they see society as always in a conflict between the dominant and the other. Like between the powerful people and the non-powerful people, between the haves and the have-not. The conflicts perspective, they always see society in terms of conflict between two groups, the dominant group and the other group. So they see this social control as a mechanism to impose the wishes, the values the order of the dominant classes on the rest of the society. They see law and order as the wishes or as the interests of the powerful people of the society. As long as the powerful are able to control, are able to run the society according to their wants, according to their ideas, according to ideologies, then the society is stable. So that is the conflict perspective. Now, there are different types of social control. One, formal social control and informal social control. What is this formal social control? Formal social controls they are codified. They are codified means written, systematic, and when the codified, formal, systematic and formal mechanism of control is used, it is known as formal social control. Like the control exerted by the state, by the law, by police, bureaucracy, army, political power, education, they are all formal social control. This formal social control is emphasized in modern complex societies in which relationship is mostly impersonal in nature. So they are prevalently used or given lots of importance in modern complex societies. Example of a formal social control would be when you commit a crime, the state law that you'll be fined, you'll be imprisoned. If you kill, then either you may face a life sentence or you may be executed. It's written down in the law that for such and such crime it is such and such punishment, formally written, and which is accepted by all. Now, another is the informal social control. That is when the personal, unofficial and uncodified mechanism of control is used. Most informal social control, they are not written down. They are not like, we can say, they are not written down in a legal form like the formal social control. Supposing, we can see from the example of informal social control be smiles, making face, body language, frowns, criticisms, gossip, laughter, religion, family, kinship, customs, traditions, mores, folkways. They are all forms of informal social control. Supposing, how can we use one body language as an informal social control? Supposing one person, somebody is doing something in front of you that you do not like, that is not acceptable to the society, which is not acceptable. And what do you turn away, or you frown like this? Or suppose if somebody has, let's say, very simple thing like making silly jokes, which does not make sense, you frown or you laugh, you make the other person feel uncomfortable. Those are informal way of control, informal social control. This informal social control is more effective in primary social groups, such like in your family, in your neighborhood, in your village, where interaction takes place on a personal level. Social control can be positive or negative. Sanction refers to the rewards or punishment used to establish social control. The basic purpose of sanction is to bring about conformity, obedience, acceptance. They may be applied in various ways, ranging from the use of physical force to a flattery. Let's see what are negative sanctions. Negative sanctions include like gossip, slander, you threaten people, you impose a fine, or you send them to jail, imprisonment, or you torture and even death. These are negative sanction. Negative sanction to establish social control. And then what are the positive sanctions to establish social control? They include praise. You praise somebody, oh, you have done well. You flatter somebody. You give medals to somebody who has done socially acceptable things, have done the society proud. You give them titles. You give them degrees, All these are positive sanctions. Sanctions refers to the rewards or punishment used to establish social control. And they have negative sanctions and positive sanctions. Now, let's see. We have seen that in informal social control, there are norms, folkways. They are all also a part of informal social control. Now, what is a norm? Norm is also a concept, a term used very frequently in sociology. That is norms. What is norm? What do you understand by norm? Norms are the rules of behavior that are agreed upon and shared within a culture. How to behave in a society. What are the acceptable behavior in a society? Those are called norms. Now, what are folkways? Folkways are also a type of social norms. Their simple definition would be it's the accepted way of behavior of daily life. How you behave in your daily life. They are a matter of personal habit. They are social norms which distinguish between what is proper behavior or rude behavior. Some examples of folkways are respecting the elders, brushing teeth every day, showering love and attention to our younger ones and brothers and sisters. They are the folkways. They are the accepted ways of behavior of daily life. Now, in sociology, whenever we discuss folkways, we discuss it more or less, we discuss it in contrast to mores. Because folkways and mores, both of them are types of social norms. Both are types of social norms. The only difference is how they are enforced. Folkways are not too strictly enforced, but mores are very much strictly enforced. So let's first see what is mores. Mores are social norms that are widely acceptable within a particular society or culture. It determines what is considered morally acceptable or unacceptable, that is, what is right or wrong within any given culture. For example, example of mores of a society are stealing is considered unacceptable under any circumstance. Stealing is wrong. You cannot steal. It is a crime. Another example, being married to more than one person is not acceptable in most areas. You can have only one husband or one wife. Beyond that, it is illegal, against law. Murder is not acceptable. You cannot murder people. You cannot kill people. So the difference between folkways and mores is that folkways are also social norms, but they are more of the personal habit, like I said, eating food 2-3 times a day, respecting elders, brushing your teeth, taking bath. All these are folkways. Or shaking hands with people when you meet them for the first time, introducing yourself, saying my name is this and that. Those are folkways. Mores are also social norms which determine what is right or wrong. Stealing is wrong. Murder is wrong. And supposing another difference would be, supposing you meet a person for the first time, because it is the folkways, it is a socially accepted behavior when you meet person. Either for Indian people we do namaste, for the other foreign people you for Westerners you shake hands. Supposing you do namaste or you shake hands, but the other person did not respond back to you, either by shaking hands or doing namaste, you will consider that person as rude. But you will not call up the police and say that this person did not shake hands, this person did not do namaste to me. He or she has broken the acceptable way of behavior. So you cannot call the police and send him to jail. You can just think, or you can just come away with the impression that that person is very rude. That person does not know how to behave. That is folkways. They are not so strictly enforced. But mores, if you see somebody killing, if you see somebody stealing, then it is your duty to inform or to call the police. And the police will come and the state will take its course. They'll be fined, they'll be imprisoned, or they may be even executed as according to the intensity of their crimes. So this is the two difference between folkways and mores. Both are types of social norms. Both are the acceptable way of doing things or in a society. But the difference lies in the degree of their enforcement. So that's it for today. That's the end of chapter 2. But in order to assess yourself as to how much you have understood from the lecture, take a piece of paper, write it down, write what are the kinds of informal social controls that we practice in our day-to-day life. Like I said, gossip, frowning at people, making faces, slandering, criticism. All these kinds of informal social control that we practice in our day-to-day life. So write it down. Maybe it will be amazed at the range of informal social control that we practice every day in our day-to-day life. And children, whenever you read your textbook, in the end of every lesson, there is a section called glossary. Please go through that. They have given definition there of the certain important terms and concepts used in the chapter that will help you to understand as you read the chapter, as you read the textbook by yourself. It will help you to understand it better. Thank you.